Hi, it's Jack Wilson, co-founder of the J3 Collaboration Project, and welcome to this new series that we're doing featuring minority-owned franchise systems. Hopefully you've been enjoying them on our previous shows. We've had a few now. And if this is your first viewing, we just want to share a few things with you. Now, these are not franchisees we're speaking to, like today, but the actual franchisors, the entrepreneurs who started the businesses and then decided that franchising was the best way to grow and scale their businesses. Now, in the franchise model, the franchisor, like we'll be talking to today, brings on franchisees using their concepts, their processes, their branding, and the support of their operations team. And since there are so few African American and Hispanic franchisors, we decided to highlight them in our special series. Well, today we're here with Micah Logan, the founder and CEO of an award-winning franchise concept, MELD Fitness and Wellness. Micah, it's nice to have you join us today.
Jack, it is awesome to be here with you today. I'm looking forward to our discussion.
Excellent. Well, as you know, I first became aware of you and MELD Fitness through my affiliation with Franchise Brokers Association. I'm glad you're here today because so many more can get to know about you. So before we get into the franchise model, let's do just that. Micah, tell us a bit about you, your background, and your business in general.
Sure thing. So I have been in the fitness industry for 20 years, and that makes me not old enough to say that I'm ready to retire and not young enough to say I don't have any experience. It puts me about right in the middle of my career. And in the 20 years that I've been in the fitness industry, I have worked in every single distinct type of fitness venue that you can think of. I have worked in mobile in-home personal training. I have worked with big box clubs on personal training department staffs. I have been a corporate fitness manager. I've managed boutique fitness concepts, franchise fitness concepts. I have also worked at community centers. I have worked with corporate wellness programs. I've worked with professional athletes and college athletes. I pretty much have done it all and seen it all. So I've been able to see how consumers interact with brands on different levels and in different types of venues, which has informed my choices of how I built my specific company. Back in 2014, I started MELD Fitness and Wellness, which is a personal training concept based off of and built off of all of the institutional knowledge I had about fitness at the time. When I first started my career, I didn't even know that personal training was a thing. And I remember working at a club. I made $12,500 my first year. And to me, to everyone else, that was no money. But to me, it was like the bucket of gold at the end of a rainbow because I loved what I did. I was able to affect a person's life on a micro level and see their changes like in response to exactly the stimulus that we were given from A to Z. My first client ever was a 55-year-old construction worker. He owned his own construction firm, and he was stressed out, slightly overweight, tired all the time. And just seeing his body transform and his energy levels transform, it was just amazing. So based on the fact that my work could have a specific result in an individual really quickly if they just applied the techniques that I gave them to apply to their lives and to their fitness program, and that their lives can be made better by that, that was actually pretty exciting for me. So for me, I've always been into working out and helping people. So those two things blended for my passion for fitness. And so over the years, I've opened up studios, I closed studios, I've made all the mistakes, all of them that you can make in the fitness business. And then it all culminated in my opportunity to open another facility in 2014 and then grow it to the point where I decided to franchise it last year.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. That's the path of an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Everything you said, you can overlay into any of the most successful entrepreneurs that we know about. What I love is the 7 years and the various types of facets or areas of the industry that you've worked in, the fitness industry. So you've seen it. You have you have a 360-degree view of the industry, which is awesome.
Mhm.
Then you said after those 7 years, you decided to franchise. So, Micah, what made you decide to use the franchise model rather than just expand yourself as your growth mode?
Yeah, so let me just take one step back, Jack, and talk about that because I think that's interesting. So I had opened a facility that I ran for 7 years, now 8, in here in downtown Boston, and but 7 years prior to that, so for about 15 years total, I had already been working on systems and processes. So I've always been the kind of person where I don't wait until something happens for me to decide what my viewpoint, thought process, or how I believe that my business should act. I used to spend thousands of dollars a year traveling back and forth to conferences from coast to coast, north to south, just to learn from the industry's best practices. I would sit in my hotel room after those conferences, try to figure out, distill what the speakers were saying, and apply it to myself. And so before I even got to the point where I opened my facility and decided to franchise, I had already developed systems and processes to operationalize and systematize my business. And then in 2014, when I opened my business, it allowed me to put essentially the game plan into practice to see how exactly these methods actually work. When I decided to franchise, it was for a couple reasons. The first reason was I knew that I had created for myself an operational model that was turnkey, that I can just literally hand to someone else and that they can just run the play. And that is the beauty of the franchise model. That's one of the primary reasons why I decided to do it, is because I knew that I had uncomplicated the fitness business and made it very operationally easy for someone to actually operate on their own. And I had created that system, which we use in MELD every day. We refine it all the time, of course, to make it even better. But I can take this system and turn it over to someone to actually just run the play. Personal training for me has always been a life's passion because of, as I mentioned previously, its results with the members that we're speaking to. And so it's not every day that you have the opportunity to take a turnkey model that actually benefits your community, that actually increases the health and the viability of the people who live in your geographic area, and actually have them committed to something that makes them and others better. And you can do that under the umbrella of a already carved out turnkey model that actually works and generates profit.
I love that, Micah. You actually nailed, and I know you did it because you've experienced it, but you've actually nailed the prep work that helps a person, a business owner, be able to make that decision to go into franchising.
Right.
As a business mentor for SCORE, I get the question all the time. Hey, what do I need to do to franchise my business? Well, you know what they need to do? They need to listen to those last 3 minutes that you just said. That's in essence what I tell all of them. Until you have this and the ability to do this for someone else, meaning someone can basically just look at it and it has become turnkey, then you're not ready yet. So you prepped up front, which was awesome.
Yeah, be
Well,
profitable and be deliberate.
be profitable and be deliberate, right?
Yeah.
Got it. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you there. You know, in this fitness industry, a lot of people, when they think about a fitness franchise, Micah, they think about this huge building, as you referenced, like the big box, gym with tons of equipment and being very expensive to own. But MELD Fitness is different.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about your model, the facility, how it's different, timeline to get open, employees or contractors, franchise costs. Help us understand this.
Yeah, so I think that in order to understand why the facility is functionally designed how it is, we have to understand who the consumer is. We directly deal with individuals who are between about 30, 35 to 55 years old, typically busy adults, professionals who want to get in shape, who have the desire to change their lives, and who typically work long hours, maybe travel for work, but they want to do something that actually moves the needle in their health. And so for us, the reason why we designed it how we did is because these are the individuals that would normally walk into a big box gym. Like when we talk big boxes, we're talking facilities that are 10, 15, 20,000 square feet or bigger. They would walk to the center of the club. They would spin around in circles trying to figure out what to do. We've all been there at some point if you've ever joined a gym. And you, as a trainer, you could just recognize that this is the person who just needs some guidance. And so help actually implementing a business, a big box club, about 15% of their revenue, their revenue comes from ancillary services like personal training. It's actually oftentimes the personal training part of that business that makes a big box profitable on the balance sheet. And so what we've done is we've removed one of the most profitable pieces of the big box, and we've functionally turned it into a profit center of its own without all the extraneous other things that are attached to it, which include the rows of rowing machines, the rows of treadmills, the rows of strength training equipment, which, by the way, individually, those machines can cost like $3,500 on a lease. And then now you have hundreds of them. And now you're talking about, $1 million in leasing of equipment, not to mention the rent of the space. What we did was we took personal training as a service. We put it in a model of 1,000 square feet because we know that we could use two things. We could use the leverage of like a large group fitness model, like an F45 or Orange Theory, because that's what they use in order to make money, is leverage, multiple people in one session. But we wanted to keep it personal as possible. And there are plenty of fitness concepts out there. Some of them call themselves personal training, but they have 25 to 30 people in a session. You tell me, if you're in a room with 25 or 30 people, do you feel like you're personally involved in whatever activity you're engaged in? Yeah, probably not. And so what we decided was the perfect number for us was 4 members to 1 coach. This allows us to do 2 things. It allows us to keep the training personal, and it allows us to actually make training more affordable for the member who's in there. And they have the actual opportunity to get customized, personalized programs. So they both feel like they're getting personal attention. And the reality is, boots on the ground, dollars and cents, that they're saving money because there's other people in there. But the rate that we can charge is greater than a large group session, but less than a one-on-one personal training session. And they feel like they're getting personal training. And so our model, our 1,000 square foot model, it doesn't only just contain multiple small groups working at one time in a 45-minute block, but we also have a smoothie bar built in as well. And so one of the things that we did is we recruited a national smoothie bar builder company. They basically build smoothie bars all over the world globally, about 1 a day, I think they average 2. And they're non-GMO organic smoothies, and it's all part of the program. So when a person comes into MELD, they're not walking in to something where they're by themselves. One of our specific sayings in MELD is that you're not alone. And the reason why is because we're always there for you. When they come in, we roadmap them. They have the opportunity to engage in a smoothie bar, which is part of their program. Most people who actually train, work out, and do personal training, like 80% of them actually do smoothies on their own. We just provide that for them right away as a part of the program. So it's not like, should I get a smoothie? It's like, no, you should get a smoothie, and here's why. And here's the one that we can make sure that fits your dietary needs, but also to make sure that your post-workout nutrition is good. So all of that is blended into 1,000 square foot, and it's all presented as one program.
I love that. And now I see why you call them micro studios, because of the smaller footprint.
Right.
And as a business owner, I could see why you would call them the future of the fitness business. You really have fine-tuned some areas, and you've strategically picked the areas that are revenue generating. You've maximized those, and you've picked the areas that are expense generating, and you've minimized those, really giving somebody an opportunity to be successful in this business. I love it. Now, could you give us a sense for what type of person you think would be successful as a MELD Fitness and Wellness franchisee?
Yeah, absolutely. So the kind of person that would be successful in MELD, number one, has to be able to work collaboratively. I am a collaborative CEO. What that means is I like to hear from the people, all the stakeholders involved in our operation, whether that be franchisees, whether that be employees, because that allows me to at least to be able to make global decisions that actually move the needle from people in different positions who are looking in. Now, I'm not going to take every suggestion, and I'm ruthless about the suggestions that I implement. But it is important for everyone who is involved in the process to have, that kind of voice. So someone has to be, who's coming into thinking about opening a MELD, has to be a great communicator. We want people who actually talk. We want you to be able to, you don't have to be chatty. There's a difference between being chatty and being a communicator. A communicator just means that you are effective at getting your message across so that people can understand where you come from. That's what we want. We want people to be the mayor of fitness in their town. We want a person who's good at networking. You have to be a good collaborator yourself. You have to be energetic. And here's the thing, Jack, you got to be a people person, because guess what? You're dealing with people, So if you're one of those people who are just like, yeah, people suck, then I'm not exactly sure how that's going to fly in a personal training business. People are coming to you, and for various reasons. On a quick, serious note, I'll give you some examples of why being a people person is important. We have members who come in. We have women that have, for instance, lost children to miscarriage, and they want to build their bodies back to being able to actually have more children, or women who are preparing to get pregnant and to be able to actually be healthy enough to be able to do that. We have men, for instance, who have gotten divorced and who are looking to get re-into the dating scene. They want you to swipe right. They got to look right. You know what I mean? So they want to get themselves together. So, and the point is, and we've had people with eating disorders who have come in and who have just been completely depressed. They don't know how to get out their own way. They don't know how to do what works. And you need to be able to empathize with them, but also provide solutions, progressive solutions that actually have goals attached to them to move them forward.
Wow, I really like that. And so that really helps us understand, what type of attributes people need to have that will translate most likely into success as a MELD owner then.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times when there's specific industries like fitness, people think, well, if I'm going to own one,
mm-hmm.
I've never been in the industry. So does a person need to be a fitness instructor or have any certifications to consider this MELD fitness opportunity?
No, you need to be able to do math. So all you need is like a 6th or 7th grade education, maybe 8th, because by the 8th grade, you know how to multiply, divide, subtract, and add, and that's what you need to be able to do. And here's the thing. We help coach our franchisees on financial literacy. Being able to read financial statements like a profit and loss statement and a balance sheet is really important. And so while you don't need to have a fitness certification, you should have a passion for wanting to help people, as I mentioned earlier, have a passion for improving your community through fitness because you want to be the mayor of fitness in your town. But we already provide programs that are built by certified coaches. I have a program designer who we employ to actually make the program for the facilities. So, and we send those to franchisees. So they don't even have to come up with the program themselves. They just have to hire a coach, for instance, who has the credentials to, and if you're a certified trainer, that means that you've demonstrated the aptitude to be able to put a program into place, whether it's written or whether you write it. So as long as that individual knows how to put their credit card into Indeed and use the job descriptions that we give them for the key characteristics of a trainer, they can hire someone. And if you know addition and subtraction, then you can certainly be successful because, our studios work on leverage. We have up to 8 people training in a 45-minute block of time at personal training rates. That's pretty good leverage. And so if you can keep your expenses low and you can get as many people into those sessions as possible, which is how small group personal training works, that people who fit in the demographic, then they'll stay and they'll pay.
Great. Well, I may fail that math test. I was just trying to do the numbers. 8 people, 8 sessions, 45 minutes. No, but I really appreciate you helping us see that this is a business model that makes sense. It cash flows, and a person who understands business can see that this is one that could not only grow in one studio, but also has the capability of scaling.
Yeah, our micro studios are very scalable. and if you're an investor looking into MELD or thinking about opening a MELD yourself, one of the characteristics of a business that you should be looking to invest in is its ability to scale across time and geographic area. Because of the size of our studios, number one, you don't need that many members to actually be profitable, and number two, that means that you can have multiple locations in a specific geographic area if it's large enough. It brings to mind Texas, states that have fairly large geographic areas. There are certainly a bunch of development opportunities for people who are looking to invest in it. But during COVID, the truth of the micro studio came to fruition. And 30% of fitness and health and fitness businesses closed during COVID. That's a fact. It's undisputable. The reason why we survived primarily is because our hardware, which is our 1,000 square foot studio, was not untenable to maintain during that time. And so even in the most restrictive areas with capacity restrictions during COVID, we were still able to operate, and we did. And so that's something that a person should feel comfortable about.
Yeah, that's great information for us as well. Now, we mentioned at the outset that MELD is a award-winning franchise.
Yep.
Tell us about not only maybe one or two of your awards, like with you personally with 1851 magazine, or the franchise with being in the Fran-tastic 500, but why are those types of awards important to you? And then what kind of things are you also taking out into the community to impact it?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, Jack, I won a 2022 top fit franchise influencer award by 1851 magazine. And basically that award is for people you should know in franchising, essentially. And why I won that award, I don't know. But I guess they thought that MELD is a concept that people should watch. It's another reason why we were awarded the 2021 Fran-tastic 500. And part of the credentials for that award was based off of turnkey ability, scalability, brand strength, and things like this. So we were given those awards based off of how we constructed the brand, the ability to replicate our system into other areas, the brand strength, the support that we offer as well in the franchise, and of course, leadership. So if you're into awards and things like that, if you watch the Oscars, then hopefully you like the fact that we were designated as a company and a CEO to follow in franchising, which is really important. We're talking to the minority community in the health and fitness industry. I can think of maybe two concepts in the entire country out of thousands that are owned and operated by minorities. And so those awards and the write-ups that I've received over the last year have put me in a different kind of light. And I get messages all the time for people who have said, thank you, what you're doing, continue to lead the way. And so I didn't really choose to have this kind of responsibility. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm Spider-Man saving the world from Thanos, but like it really is perhaps more of a responsibility than I actually thought of. And then your second question about how we impact the community, one of the benefits of operating a business, a turnkey business that's profitable, that brings people together like MELD from the community, from different areas of a township, are that we have the ability to actually get to know them personally and get involved in their life. We've recently partnered with the Massachusetts Breast Cancer Coalition to do a fundraiser for breast cancer awareness back in October. And our members were more than grateful to not only refer their family and friends to MELD to join in that fundraising effort, but it highlighted the fact that we serve the community, and so their interest aligned with ours. And so we wanted to make sure that we're giving back to them as much as they pay us to do what we do. We want to make sure that we're offering something back. And we were able to raise a few $100s, and 100% of that is going. I still have to forward the check because I had to just tabulate it, but 100% of that is going to the MBCC, and they were more than delighted to partner with us on that effort.
That's awesome. I really appreciate you sharing that with us, Micah. And again, I like to always say that, business ownership gives you a lot of different things, but one of the things it gives you for sure is an opportunity to make an impact in the community. You're providing jobs, or you're doing things like you just mentioned with the breast cancer awareness drive. And it also gives you
Mm-hmm.
a platform so you can be the mayor of fitness in your city.
That's right.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, Micah, you've mentioned so many differentiators and what makes a MELD unique. You know, I had my brother went to a little bit more prestigious university than I did. He went to the Wharton School, uh,
Show off.
and I didn't. But I said to him, you know, what's one thing that you can remember from way back then that really made an impact on you? And here's what he said. He said, I remember the exact professor who said it, and I remember his words, and I've never forgotten them. This is 30 years ago. There are riches in niches.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when I look at all the franchise opportunities out, the fitness franchise opportunities, I see yours as very different.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you were able to share some of this with folks. But let's give them a little summary here. You know, because there are so many franchising concepts out there in the fitness space, what are the reasons that our listeners should really consider MELD Fitness and Wellness?
Yeah, in my opinion, it's very easy. Number one, scalable operation, meaning that you have the opportunity to open multiple of these in a city, with each of them being profitable because of the size. Number two, we're 1,000 square foot facility that has the opportunity to leverage personal training prices and make it affordable for the people in it, but the returns on the time are much, much higher than you would get in a lot of businesses. That also means that because we're 1,000 square foot facility, that the actual operational cost of running the business is significantly lower than running most other fitness businesses or businesses in general, which means that your rent is only going to go up so high because it's only 1,000 square feet, no matter where you are in the country. Another reason why is because within that 1,000 square foot space, we make it easy for you to run. It's a turnkey operation. We have a program director who writes the fitness programs for the business and for all the franchisees. You don't have to worry about that. We also have franchise support. Every aspect of our franchise offering is supported fully by the individuals who actually are partners with us in the franchise, like the smoothie bar. They'll come on site, they'll train your staff. You get access to the university. We have a MELD University. You'll come out to Massachusetts. Yes. Hopefully it's in the spring or the summer, and you'll be able to actually learn how to run the business. And we will continue to groom and develop your ability to operate business. And that is not to bastardize someone who actually is competent in business, because part of our business coaching is meeting you at the level of sophistication that you're at. So we tailor our help and our support to whatever level you're actually at. Another reason to operate a MELD is because you actually have the opportunity to engage with people in your community who can elevate you to the status of someone who's a community leader in certain ways. You can be the health and wellness leader in your community through how you work with people and how you change and affect them. This is one of the ways where capitalism meets the needs of the people. And we can say functionally that it does in many different senses, but this is an actually true way where if you're providing a training opportunity for people in your community, you're making them better. It has a better effect on their families, how they work, who they are as people. And generally that kind of has a broad effect on the people in their orbit. So you can be a community changer. You can make your business scalable. You can earn a good living doing it. And it's a lifestyle business. And that can't be understated as well. So, you know, I've been in it for 20 years because it's kind of hard to wake up and to do something different with your time when you've spent your whole life kind of like just helping people like become the best version of themselves that they can be. And what I encourage are people to look at who they want to be professionally and as people in the next few years. Do you want to leave a legacy of wealth, both fiscally and in your community, and how you actually move the community forward? Or do you want to be someone who, for instance, had the opportunity to take the chance and you never actually took it because you were more concerned that you would fail, than anything else? I think the choice is all of ours.
I love it. Thank you very much, Micah. And, this made me think of how valuable one of the other benefits of being a franchisee of MELD Fitness and Wellness is. It's that monthly call with the CEO. I remember sitting down with which you offer obviously to
Yes,
all of your
we do here.
franchisees.
Mhm.
Well, I remember sitting down with a franchisor CEO, and he actually said that's what he does. And he had a good number of franchise locations. I think he had close to 100. So he was just out of that, that growth stage, and he
Right.
was going into the next plateau, right?
Mhm.
And I remember then having a discussion with another franchisor that had been in business for almost 20 years. They had less than 50 locations, and they had probably 25 or so franchisees. And I gave that suggestion about, hey, how about this?
Mhm.
Because it's less than one a day actually, and in
Right.
a month maybe one, you maybe have a couple of them,
Yep.
and it was like not something he thought had any value at all.
Interesting.
Yet it's the converse.
Yeah, it really is. I think that franchisees want, if a franchise agreement is 10 years for some brands, for some is 15, for some is 20. For MELD, it's a 10-year agreement. I want to be able to sit down and have a cup of coffee with the franchisee that we bring in 10 years and be able to talk about our kids, how they've grown, how your daughter got her permit. I say that because my daughter just got hers yesterday, and her driver's permit. Yeah, yeah. Watch out. And but for me, it's about everything is about relationships ultimately. And frankly, you know, I think that we overcomplicate things. I think because of Twitter and YouTube and social media, how people portray entrepreneurs and high powered CEOs, and they think that there's more complexity to business negotiations than personal relationship. And there really isn't. Even in the boardrooms of a lot of these places where people get these big contracts, it all comes down to personal relationships. You would be surprised how many multi-million-dollar deals have been done on the golf course where it's because of that personal relationship. The only thing they had to do was get that piece of paper and sign it. But it all comes down to who you are as a person and how a person values you as a person. And do you have the competence, the capability, and the ability to actually move the needle forward? And as a CEO, that's kind of how I work. I lead from the front, um, and one of my goals is to continue to improve. So even with MELD, I try to put my money where my mouth is. Our goal is to extend our corporate studio network as well over the next 3 years. And so that's putting our money where that mouth is. We want our brand to grow just like we want franchisees to come in and to grow their own network of MELD studios as well. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much. So we're wrapping up now, Micah. So what
Mhm.
are the steps a person needs to take if they want to learn more? You give them a lot, but what steps?
Yeah, sure. I mean, certainly you can reach out to Jack and shoot him an email, and then given that he's also a consultant with the FBA, that's certainly an appropriate venue, Jack, for them to go through. They can also reach out to us directly and mention the show that they saw us on. So if you email us, email info@meldfranchise.com, and in the subject line you would just put J3 franchise so that we can give Jack credit for those of you, let's be honest here, we're talking about money, so give Jack credit for those of you who actually are inquiring as a result of seeing this. And then after that we would have an initial phone call, and then from there we would take them down the process, get them out for discovery day so they learn more about the franchise and those who would support them in the franchise. They also get to have a free dinner on me, and they get to work out at the studio for free. That's kind of all part of it. And then from there we just take a look at the territory that they're thinking about putting a MELD. We'll analyze it for appropriateness of our demographic, and then it's off to the races.
That is awesome. Wow. This has been very enlightening. I really appreciate it, Micah. Thanks for joining us today. And for those in our audience who are interested in learning more, he just gave you, all the steps you need to take. Or you could just reach out to us directly. Just be sure you mention that you're a results team VIP. There are startup capital grants that we're providing
Oh,
to help
nice.
along with what you're doing, what you may do with Micah and his company. So
We
we're
also have
looking
discounts,
forward.
Jack, for we should know that we have discounts for minorities, federal federally defined minorities, we have discounts. We give 10% off the franchise fee, and for military veterans. If they're a military veteran or a minority, or if you're both, you can't have both discounts. You can choose one. You can choose whether you're a minority or a veteran at that time, and then we'll give you a discount for that too. So that's something to keep aware of as well.
That's awesome. So an opportunity and funds to defer the cost by both J3 and MELD. That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, to our audience, we look forward to seeing you again in the next episode of our series featuring minority-owned businesses. Thank you again, Micah.
Thank you, Jack.